We are going to start with a brief introduction, and I will allow you guys to answer a question. From there, we will move on to our 5 questions. Each candidate will have 90 seconds to respond to each of those questions. Ms. Summers?
Thank you so much. Good evening, everyone. My name is Mhariel Summers. I'm a St. Pete native and very excited to be challenging as your candidate for this seat for District 6. I'm running because I don't believe we've gotten as many equitable results as we could have these last 4 years. I think there are too many areas that are still underserved and historically excluded throughout the district, and I think we can do something about it a lot faster. So that's why I'm running for this race. Looking forward to giving you all the answers to your many questions this evening.
Ms. Summers. First question. In 1978, a resolution was passed by City Council to redevelop the gas plant neighborhood and bring affordable housing and 650 jobs to the area. Instead, more than 800 Black residents were displaced, numerous businesses were destroyed, and the promises made to residents of the gas plant district have been left unfulfilled. How do you plan to ensure that residents of South St. Pete benefit from the redevelopment of Tropicana Field?
Thank you. It's a hot topic everywhere I go, and I'll say, first and foremost, one of my campaign platforms is visible equity. When I think about the south side of St. Petersburg, it was said on the last forum, there's just been too many years of non-action. I attended a presentation a few weeks ago from Sugar Hill, which is one of the final of the 2 companies bidding to redevelop the site. And one thing I loved about their plan is that they have equity built in every level of the redevelopment of Tropicana Field, from the construction workers to the development companies to the actual team themselves. Equity's built all in to who will inhabit those businesses once erected. Affordable housing that looks at AMI metrics, but also looks at the identity of the actual community. I think it's very important that we build with equity at every step. The other part of that is this is a 10-year plan. The TROP isn't going to be developed in the next 4 years. It's a 10-year plan. And so we need to make sure that the people we want to benefit from the TROP are prepared. And so starting with the existing businesses and entrepreneurs, we need to make sure that we're breathing life into those Black firms to prepare them for this great opportunity of having their business there. But we need to reach down to our high schoolers and make sure their entrepreneur skills are being taught and offered to them, and even down to our middle school students to make sure that they have apprenticeship and trade opportunities at that delicate age of 13, 14 years old. So those are my ideas. I have more, but that's my time.
St. Petersburg is receiving $45 million from the federal government as a part of the American Rescue Plan to help cities recover from the pandemic. Black residents of St. Petersburg experienced the worst healthcare outcomes while also seeing the steepest economic impact. How will you ensure that the communities most impacted by the pandemic will be front and center in the distribution of these funds?
Thank you for this question. It was stated in the mayoral's forum that $45 million really isn't a lot in terms of government action and the magnitude of things we can get done with it. So we got to be realistic and we got to be practical about what $45 million can do immediately in our community. And I do have ideas. I think working for Representative Michelle Rayner most recently, before I decided to run for this seat, I got calls daily from folks who were just suffering, couldn't pay their bills, didn't know if they were going to be able to stay in their place, needed unemployment. And so first and foremost, we need to provide immediate relief to those who are suffering the most with this money. We also need to take a look at our frontline essential workers, those who have not had the luxury of working from home like many of us have over the last years, and think of their mental health. And maybe there is some way we can find a stipend to give these folks a break. I know we've had a break, and it was due to the pandemic. It wasn't an intentional break, but finding a way to mend the gap for those frontline workers, and then putting our businesses first. You talk to those folks downtown, a lot of people suffered during this pandemic. We have to find out how we can take this money to breathe life back into our economy immediately, and that's what I do.
Thank you. Now I'm going to move on to 21 people this year have already lost their lives to gun violence. In 2020, when there was an increase in violent crime, there were 15 homicides for the entire year. We are only in the month of July. What have you already been doing to address gun violence, and what is your plan to address it if you are elected? Ms. Summers.
Thank you for this question. So what have I done? I've been present. Of these 21 murders that happened, a great deal of them happened in District 6. And it's not something I'm a stranger to. I had a cousin gunned down in District 6 not even 5-6 years ago. And so, you know, I took it upon myself to go back to school to get this degree in entrepreneurship, to get this degree in political science, and to get this minor in entrepreneurship, to understand not only the systems that are governing our people, but the economics of the economy that drive us, and how to marry those two in these more distressed areas. And what I found, and I did a presentation on this when I was becoming an emerging leader with the city in 2019, is that a lot of our black communities suffer from what Du Bois calls nihilism. Go back and look at the souls of black folks and how we have to exist in two realities all at once, and that this does a lot to drive hopelessness, and research shows that poverty and hopelessness breed crime no matter the race, no matter the community. And so I think we have to look at, again, it comes back to economics, economically empowering the black entrepreneurs who live there so they don't have to move, so they don't have to go and get a job, but so that they can be pioneers in this society. That's gonna motivate folks, it's gonna change their interests, it's gonna give them hope. So for me, it comes back to economics. Stop there.
Thank you. A lot of the programs around housing are temporary and small in scale, just helping people in a moment of need with rental assistance or legal counseling on evictions. The CDC's eviction moratorium is set to expire on July 31st. Meanwhile, out-of-town real estate developers continue to buy up properties like Osprey Point, right around the corner from here, cheaply, then raise rents and force tenants out. What is being done to address the issues that are causing many people to not be able to afford housing by creating sustainable solutions to the housing crisis here in St. Petersburg? Ms. Summers.
This is a very important, very hot topic issue. And, you know, I think it always, to me, goes back to affordable housing is simply housing that people can afford. And so first, you know, we have to be real about the low affordable housing standards. If we're building off of the average medium income metric, right now the AMI number is about $56,000 here in the city of St. Petersburg, which means that's low income affordable housing. By the numbers. So we have to be real about it. We can't play around with the metrics. Again, talking about those people who are facing eviction, the American Rescue Plan dollars are coming to our city. How do we ensure that people aren't displaced and aren't facing those type of tragedies? We have to support, you know, I'm in support of looking at our zoning laws and supporting tiny house, multi-family builds. But I'm not in support of sending our Southside citizens back to the agrarian period just so that they can afford to live. I think we have to be bold about our investment. Again, it comes back to that black economy. We have to build up the black economy. If we build up the black economy, those individuals long-term will be able to stay in these neighborhoods, update their houses. We have the Solar Energy Fund here in the city, that's the loan fund. Designed to help property owners, you know, update their houses at low interest, no interest rates. And so we have to look creatively about what we have intrinsically to apply to the people who are actually living there.
In St. Petersburg, $138 million was spent to build a baseball stadium in 1986. $93 million was spent to build the new pier with a $1.9 million annual subsidy from taxpayers. And discussions are being held about renovating the St. Petersburg Municipal Marina. Yet, South St. Petersburg remains without a grocery store, Tangerine Plaza and the Deuces remain largely vacant, and the Dr. Carter G. Woodson African American Museum remains without a permanent home. What are your plans for economic development in areas south of Central Avenue? And added to that question is, how will you support the Dr. Carter G. Woodson Museum in building a state-of-the-art facility? So that question is two-part, and we'll allow 90 seconds for that, starting with Ms. Summers.
So as I've been talking about all night, visible equity through economic empowerment is one of my main platforms. I think it's a huge failure that Tangerine Plaza has sat empty for another 4 years, and I think we can do something about it, whether it's a co-op or smaller grocery fresh food options. But right now, the only food that's pumping out of that plaza is from the good folks at the church who are giving the food out every Saturday, and that's not. It's not sustainable, it's not fair, it's not right, and we need to do something about it. I've always championed the Carter G. Woodson. I love Terry Lipsey Scott and the work that they're doing there. I actually had the opportunity to intern at the Woodson for a few years before becoming the manager. And so you can bet when I'm on council, I already understand the economic impact of having a world-class African-American museum right here in our city, one that mirrors the grandeur of the James and the Dali. And we are the city of the fine arts, but where is the representation? Where is the visible equity? We have to be intentional about it. It's going to take investment, it's going to take dollars, but I think the return that we'll get on it is going to be huge. The chamber, the St. Pete Chamber, has already identified that low market, low commerce areas actually cost our city more. So how am I going to get this done? I'm going to make it make sense in dollars when I'm on council. I have the community connections and the community relationships to bring people to the table and build these new coalitions. So I'm very, very excited about what can be done south of Central.
Thank you, Ms. Summers.
Yes, definitely not new to this, but true to it. I've spent the last 5 years working in all of the various neighborhoods in South St. Pete, got great connections with key African-American stakeholders, and I'm ready to get to work. It won't be 4 more years of resolutions and committees.
Thank you so much. And our last